and lighted the largest cigarette end from one of the many ashtrays scattered about, and went off to his next job. It was the rule that Fenwick collected all shoes, chalked their room numbers on their soles, and carried them to the basement for cleaning. But he had ways of his own. He took a large newspaper and his box of cleaning materials and silently dealt with the footwear, one by one, as it stood outside the doors of the bedrooms, spreading the paper to protect the carpet. Fenwick started on the first floor, rooms 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, with the best views over the river and bay. His gait was jaunty, for he had had a few beers before finally fuddling himself with the dregs from the bar. He hummed a tune to himself. "Don't send my boy to prison, it's the first crime what he's done." He tottered up the main staircase with his cleaning box and stopped at the first door. Number 1 was a single room. Once it had been double, but the need for more bathrooms had split it in two. Outside, on the mat, a pair of substantial handmade black shoes. Fenwick glided his 2 brushes and polishing cloth over them with hasty approval. They belonged to Judge Tennant of the High Court. He came every year at this time for a fishing holiday. He tipped meticulously, neither too much, nor too little. Yet you didn't mind. You felt justice had been done when you got it. Fenwick had been sitting on his haunches. Now and then he cocked an ear to make sure that nobody was stirring. He moved like a crab to number 2, gently dragging his tackle along with him. This was the best room, with a private bath. Let to a millionaire, they said. It was a double, and in the register the occupants had gone down as Mr. and Mrs. Cuhady. All the staff, from the head waiter down to the handyman who raked the gravel round the hotel and washed down the cars, knew it was a lie. The head waiter was an expert on that sort of thing. With 30 years' experience in a dining room, you can soon size up a situation. That was how they knew about the honeymoon couple in number 3, too. Outside their door was a pair of new men's brogues and some new brown suede ladies' shoes. The bride's travelling costume consisted of with brown suede shoes. Fenwick knew all about it from reading his papers in the small hours. There were 5 pairs of women's shoes outside number 2. Brown leather, blue suede, black and red tops, light patent leather, and a pair with silk uppers, all expensive ones. 5 pairs in a day! Fenwick snarled and showed a nasty gap where he had lost 4 teeth. Just like her. He cleaned the brown, the black and red, and the patent uppers with the same brushes for spite. The blue suede he ignored altogether, and he spat contemptuously on the silk ones and wiped them with a dirty cloth. Mr. Cuhady seemed to have forgotten his shoes altogether. That was a great relief. He was very particular about them. Lovely handmade ones and the colour of old mahogany, and you had to do them properly or he played merry hell. Mr. Cuhady had blood pressure, and Mrs. Cuhady didn't seem to be doing it any good. The magnate was snoring his head off. There was no other sound in number 2. Fenwick bet himself that his partner was noiselessly rifling Cuhady's pocketbook. He crawled along and dealt with the honeymoon shoes. They weren't too good. Probably they'd saved up hard to have their first nights together at a posh hotel and would remember it all their lives. Remember the Cape Marvin? Fenwick, sentimental under his mixed load of drinks, spat on all 4 soles for good luck. He crept on. 2 pairs of brogues this time, male and female. Good ones, too, and well cared for. Fenwick handled them both with reverence. A right good job. For he had read a lot in his papers about one of the occupants in room 4. An illustrated weekly had even interviewed him at Scotland Yard and printed his picture. On the other side of the door were 2 beds, separated by a table on which stood a reading lamp, a travelling clock, and 2 empty milk glasses. In one bed a good-looking middle-aged woman was sitting up, with a dressing-gown round her shoulders.